So the way that we define it in the London School of Tantra is that every single thing gets to be a pathway to your enlightenment or to the divine. And when I say the divine, I don't necessarily mean like a man with a white beard in the sky. Like, I mean this feeling of co-connection and creation with the world around us. It's that almost like that collective consciousness, that feeling of like something greater than us. But really, and this can include sex, this can include love, this include relationships, this can include doing your taxes, this can include getting on the tube, this can include being ill and like trying to navigate that every single thing gets to be a path for your greatest enlightenment.
2, 1, 0.
Hi, and welcome to the show. This is your host, Orion. Thank you so much for being here. You're going to really, really have fun with today's episode. You already know the title because you clicked on it. It's all about Tantra. Tantra, pleasure, sex, and more. But before we go on, if you like this, share it with your friends. Share it with your mom, with your dad, with your sister, with your brother, with your grandma, especially with your grandma. She definitely needs this specific episode. And just spread the word because you guys help me share the love and I need your help to share the love. And if you can also write a review, that will help me, us, the show tremendously. So now let's talk about what you're going to listen to. You're going to listen to a phenomenal lady. Her name is Rosa Maxwell. She's wise and she is on fire. Founder of the London School of Tantra, international sex magic facilitator, and host of the Sex Life Changing podcast, Unlocked and Unrestricted, with over 10 years experience in psychology and tantric approaches to sexuality, Rosa helps you break free from conditioning so you can realize your greatest potential fueled by pleasure. So today she shared we laughed a lot. It was so great. It was a fun episode and she shared a lot of wisdom. She shared her powerful journey with Tantra, how Tantra can be used as a healing modality and a life guide, and how to manifest things through sex magic. Yep, you heard it right. Sex magic. It's very interesting. It's very beautiful. I want to try and do, I would love to know how to manifest things through sex magic. Wouldn't you? And we all have that energy. We were born with it. It's just energy. It's just about moving energy too, so you can connect to the quantum energy. And you know what? Just on to the show. Hey, Rosanna, welcome to the show.
I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, me too. Maybe before we start, you can share some beautiful childhood memory of yours.
I love this question. What a nice place to start. So what comes up for me is when I used to live in America. So I grew up for several years in Alabama and Louisiana, right in the deep South. I was born in Yorkshire in the UK.
Wow.
But we used to travel all around. Like we used to road trip all the time. And I remember it must be somewhere in south of the USA. It must be somewhere near to where we lived. But we could put all of our hands and feet in 4 different states. So I had 1 state and 1 foot in each state. And it was like the 4 corners. And that's one memory that I just remember. And we were doing all of these different dance moves and like me, my mom, my sister, and just hopping between them. And it's just such a simple but perfect memory that I have of that time.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. So maybe you can share a bit about what you do today and what brought you to explore and master that art.
Oh, wow. And you know what? Even like weaving on from, even weaving on from that memory, what I still feel like today is all about play and pleasure. It's all about like how much pleasure can we bring to each and every moment of each and every day. And so what I'm doing, what I do today, and I'm really freaking proud of this. I'm so proud to say that like I'm the founder of the London School of Tantra, which is London's largest female-founded Tantra school. And yeah, and really every single day we are exploring how we bring more of these ancient philosophies and practices into our modern lives so that we can really live a life of play and pleasure, deeply connected to ourselves, to each other, to this mystical universe that I can only start to begin to comprehend. And really, it is just about how do we transform society from a space of where we can be so easily disconnected by these, by this, by everything, and bring ourselves back into a space of like just this deep, delicious presence and connection and play and pleasure with this beautiful life and human experience that we're all in.
And how did you get to Tantra? Why Tantra?
Great question.
There are many ways to seek pleasure.
So many. And I don't believe that there's a right or a wrong way necessarily to seek pleasure. And, you know, that's a very tantric philosophy in the space of non-duality. There's no right, no wrong, just is. And everything is a path to our greatest expansion, our greatest growth, our greatest enlightenment. But for me, oh my goddess, Tantra has been the fastest path to my like whole life transformation. Not just like, I mean, we can talk about sex and love, but literally just the way that I walk around every single day is completely transformed because of Tantra. And there are kind of two routes to my path. And the first was traveling in India. And I had so much trauma and even sexual trauma that I just had never really dived into. And it wasn't until I was in India, and I never believed in chakras, didn't believe in energy, didn't believe in chakras, wasn't like super spiritual. And then I went, and this guy read my chakras in this little crystal shop in the, like on the cliffs of Varkala. And he got to my sacral chakra. And for those of you who might not be aware of our chakra system, they are a system of energy centers all the way from the root to the crown. You have 7, and they're all responsible for different emotional, psychological, physiological functions within the body. It's part of really an ancient system for understanding the body and how to heal the body. And he got to my sacral chakra, which is this one, the second chakra, and it's in between your like just below the belly button and above the pubic bone, and responsible for sexuality, creativity, sensuality. And he got to that as he was reading my palm, and he was like, "I can feel a block here, like something's going on." And he could pinpoint the 2 times in my teenage years where I experienced abuse, to the year and to the, and I was like, what the actual F? That this man, the other side of the world, can read in my energy body these things. It like tore my whole world apart. And then I spent several years putting it back together.
Well, what did he tell you? He was just like, by the way, you had sexual trauma when you were 16? Just like that?
So not quite like that, but pretty much. He basically was like, I can feel that something happened, and I can't even remember the dates off the top of my head, but he was like, I think it was, you know, something like in 2009 and 2013, and in this month, in like whatever it was, April, and I like, well, firstly, my body reacted and I just broke down into tears, and then I thought dates, and I was like, fuck, that is like, they were the 2 times where those things happened in my lifetime, where I would say that I experienced that form of trauma. But it was to the year and to the month. So he was like, something happened in this year and this month. Does that mean anything to you? And I was like, how do you know that? How do you know that? I haven't told anyone. And so that completely changed my entire entire world. And I would say Tantra is then the thing that brought me back into my body, away from like dissociation, brought me back into my body, regulated my nervous system, brought me back into pleasure, in this really grounded, like holistic way for me that was deeper than anything I'd ever experienced before.
So you learned Tantra in India?
No, actually, because then lockdown happened. Like, COVID happened. And so it was when I came back to London, my world blew apart. I stopped being able to function at work, became basically totally asexual, no experience of pleasure. And yeah, it was totally disconnected from everything. I couldn't have my partner of 8 years. He couldn't even touch me because I was reliving all of this stuff. And then somehow Tantra found me. Firstly, in a book called Urban Tantra by Barbara Carellis. That was the first Tantra book I ever read. And then from there, doing those practices with my partner, and then slowly over time, like reading more and more about it, traveling the world and studying it, like in Ibiza, in Costa Rica, across Europe, in the States, and just like every chance I got, I was like, give me more. Yeah, it was wild.
And I'm sure it wasn't all fun, this journey, because sometimes when we go and we find something to help us heal, I mean, it it's like you went to do something hard. Like your soul didn't want to go seek pleasure. Your soul wanted to seek healing. And after healing came pleasure, right? Or through pleasure came healing. But did you have some hard moments in your tantra journey?
Oh yeah, some of the worst. Some of the worst. I mean, particularly in my healing journey, I would say the hardest moments. I would say in my healing journey that were the hardest moments were almost before I found Tantra, because I was just living in this space of like total disconnection and feeling totally broken, like there was no hope for me. Like it really was this point of like, I'm never going to experience pleasure again. But it was through that hopelessness that I started trying different things. You know, I started trying, I think I went to like energy orgasm workshops, and I went to Tantra workshops, and I went to BDSM workshops, and I went to like everything to try and refine this spark. And the thing that landed for me the most deeply was with Tantra. But I would also say Tantra is not necessarily a path for people who just want the pleasure, because to really experience pleasure within the tantric space, you have to also experience the depth of your pain.
Wow, that's so powerful what you just said.
Yeah, I'm curious if you resonate. Like, is that something that you've experienced in your own journey as well?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Tell me more.
Even now, where I am right now, because we moved to Israel during a war, which is quite hard, and we had to leave our beautiful home, my beautiful car, everything, like, and come here, and it's pretty intense. But then we went to visit Miami again. I did like a little travel to Miami. I had a women retreat in Puerto Rico, and as soon as I landed, I got so sick. And I think like this last week was a combination for me of like I got so sick. I have a 5-year-old. On the second day of sickness, it's almost like I couldn't take care of it of my son, and that felt very helpless. And because I was like super high fever, I couldn't even like stay up. I had to like be in bed. As soon as I stood up, everything was spinning, and I don't know what kind of bug it was, or it's like what kind of like mad scientist invented that what I caught. But I also had some hallucinations. It was really, really, really weird. And I'm just recovering, and I might cough, but I hope not. um, yeah, today's like the first day where I'm like, yeah, I got my power back, kinda. That's great. Um, but Um, but I feel like that week of sickness, I had like actually moments of joy and pleasure within the pain, and the contrast of the pain and not being able to move or cook or do like the simplest things, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my goodness, look at that, my brain is working again. I can think about how to make breakfast for my son, which was the hardest thing for me of just a few days ago. I was like, I couldn't even like get my brain to figure out what goes into breakfast. Like it was so that I understand that the contrast of darkness and light, because sometimes we even like our I think our moving here, it wasn't a logical decision to move into Israel in the middle of the war. um and our life in Miami were quite comfortable. um but sometimes you go like your soul has to go through some things, and maybe there is a higher purpose or a higher mission, and we go and we follow the energy, and we go through things that are hard, but it's because we need to grow, and we need the contrast, and we need to see the light, and we need to appreciate the fact that, wow, my refrigerator is full right now, and I'm able to, you know, put words together or walk like so that's how I resonate with what you said. But this was just a simple example, but I definitely resonate with what you said on a greater level as far as that like life journey of contrast.
Yeah, and I think, like, I mean, your story is, it's that duality. It's like, but I think this is a thing that when we get into this space of like, wow, I can still find pleasure when I'm in the depth of like sickness, that there are still things to experience pleasure with. I'm like, that is the key to thriving. That's really what I believe is like one of the keys to thriving in our whole lives, because pleasure is always available. Like life is always available, and and one of the things that I love that Tantra really teaches is that by embracing the duality and just by being with what is, and not shaming ourselves or judging ourselves or trying to force ourselves to fix it, that's where we find true freedom and liberation. Because if you're like annoyed at the fact of like, and it's okay to go through those waves, but if we're judging ourselves for like not feeling pleasure or for feeling XYZ, it's our own thinking that is causing the suffering, not actually the thing itself. And this is feeling it all. This is feeling it all. It's like being with that. Like it's just being with what is. That's the key.
Yeah, I love that. Um, so for, Tantra, I heard so many definitions of Tantra. It is still a mystery to me. What's your definition of Tantra?
So the way that we define it in the London School of Tantra is really like, if I was to define it in like really, really, really simply, is that every single thing gets to be a pathway to your enlightenment or to the divine. And when I say the divine, I don't necessarily mean like a man with a white beard in the sky. Like I mean this feeling of co-connection and creation with the world around us. It's that almost like that collective consciousness, that feeling of like something greater than us. But really, and this can include sex, this can include love, this include relationships, this can include doing your taxes, this can include getting on the tube, this can include being ill and like trying to navigate that every single thing gets to be a path for your greatest enlightenment. And really, when we look at the Sanskrit definition, it really means like tan really means like tool or technique or for expansion. Tantra really is a tool or technique for expansion, and tan really means to like stretch, to expand, to weave, and tra is like the vehicle, the tool, the technique. And so what I really find, and how I often define it, is it's really a framework or a system that gets to expand consciousness and weave together all aspects of life, like mind, body, soul, spirit, relationships, sexuality. It's all into one integrated, like sacred space of wholeness. that's how I'd really define Tantra.
Mm. What if people wants to go and experience Tantra, but they feel like, oh, if I'm going to uh study Tantra, it feels like I'm cheating on my man, or because what does it look like to have like a Tantra class?
Yeah, so this is where I think I'm really grateful that you brought that, because I think this is a really big myth that I really like to bust, is that Tantra isn't about sex. It's really not. It's like that is what we've seemed to have like synonymized it with within our Western society. But really, Tantra is a path of life. So, for example, if you were to come to one of our Tantra classes, and we really teach modern Tantra, which is how you can use these ancient philosophies as tools for like modern living. And we have our 12 tantric fundamentals that we teach, which we've identified are crucial for our like thriving, yes, in our sex lives and our love lives, but really in our whole lives. And so what you could expect, like say, for example, we were doing an exploration on the first fundamental within our series is boundaries. So say a workshop around boundaries and diving into this like tantric fundamental is you would mostly be connecting with yourself in meditation, with embodiment, getting to understand what is my fuck yes, what is my no, where do I cross my own boundaries, how can I use all of this wisdom for my greatest enlightenment, coming really home to the self and home to your experience. Then you might have a bit of practice and communication with a partner, and noticing like, okay, well, in an embodied way, what does it feel like to cross my own boundaries? That's not necessarily like sexual or sensual or romantic, but really like we cross our own boundaries with our friends. We cross our own boundaries at work, like all these different places. So we can use any type of example. So it's really the way that we teach is to bring it into these really, really accessible, relatable, modern scenarios, like for life. And then the same when we go up desires, everybody's favorite for some reason is rejection. Like when we get to rejection week, like it's everybody's favorite, because it really starts to build this muscle of, we're looking at, the way I like to think about it is that without these fundamentals, we stay stuck in patterns of shame, of conditioning, of narratives that we've maybe collected along the way. Like maybe it's wrong of me to ask for things that I desire, whether it's a pay rise to a pussy massage, like that we feel like wrong for asking for these things. But really what Tantra helps, and say we were doing that all together, we would really bring back into that feeling of, actually, my desires are divinely inspired. Like one of the theories in Tantra is that you wouldn't want something if it wasn't part of your path to your greatest growth and enlightenment. And
I like that.
yeah, and that it's actually not, and this is the key, because it's not actually about getting the desire, and it's not about having the thing, but it's who you become along the way towards it.
I'm getting the desire to travel to London now.
Come way. It's a real vibe. It's a real vibe. And honestly, I'm already starting to see the shifts of but you know what, in the tantric space, you might come to London, come to a workshop and be like, Rosa, that was the worst thing I've ever been to.
No.
No, you wouldn't. You absolutely wouldn't. You'd have a great time. But
I think just meeting you in person is going to be enough.
it is. Come be my guest anytime. Anytime. I'd love to have you and host you.
We talked, where were we? We talked about Tantra. Yeah, so we talked about how Tantra changes your life. So it's not about only sex and intimacy. It's about how those principles actually reflect in your life when you learn body boundaries or boundaries around rejection. In the Tantra space, it also It's got a ripple effect for the rest of your life. So when you look at your students, what kind of shifts do you see in them from the day they come in to, I don't know, however long the course, how does it work?
So the way that we work is we have our in-person events in London and retreats kind of in Ibiza as well. And the
Ooh.
in-person, yeah, it's good, it's juicy. The in-person events, like that's just like one off. And so you know what blows my mind, and I'll share the transformation that I see for most of the students who come through my doors, and I'm almost in tears at the end of every workshop because I see these people, and one of the big missions we're on is to tackle like the loneliness epidemic that we have all across urban environments. And so we see people come in and they're like this, and they're like, what the fuck am I doing in a tantra workshop? Like, why am I here? And they're terrified and so closed, and their hearts are closed through the flow that we take people through. And we are really like expert at taking people from this kind of cold, closed space into like, holy fuck, I think I can do everything that I've ever wanted in life. And there's nothing that can like hold me back. So the real transformation that I see for people, even just in 2-3 hours, is like liberation. Like people feel suddenly like their hearts open. They feel no longer afraid to like love and connect. Even just in, not necessarily physical intimacy, but just in intimacy with like people who were strangers. And the energy in the room, I can only describe it as going from this like slightly ungrounded, like, oh, energy to like, I am alive, like energy. And and that's really what Tantra is for me. It's like we're no longer stuck in these things, the things that are going on in here that have maybe been keeping us stuck for decades, that we've picked up along the way of our life. And suddenly we just come back to our truth, our wholeness, our hearts, and we like, wow, I feel free. I feel free. And that's the frequent feedback that we get from people is like, I feel free and liberated and connected and at home, like in my body and at home in this world. It's like I've finally found home in myself and in this space. So it's really, really beautiful. And the other thing that we do is the 10-month facilitator training. And it's the first year we've run it this year. And I never thought I'd run something like this, but everybody kept asking me for it. And I was like, okay, what's the worst that could happen? And literally we're 4 months in out of 10 months. And the transformation of the students is insane, Like the Tantra glow up is real. Like I remember one guy, he joined and, you wouldn't give him a second glance necessarily. I wonder if he'll ever listen to this podcast. I love you so much. And it's been beautiful. But he came to one of the workshops, and I have an amazing community manager, Camilla Lovegrove, and she's an amazing coach as well. And he walked into one of our in-person workshops just as a participant. And he walked in, and Camilla and I were like, who's that man? And it's like his skin was glowing. And it's that glow that you have when your heart is open, when your soul is open. And I've got chills because the confidence, all of the facilitators keep saying, like, I feel like I can do anything. Like, yes, they're having better sex with it. Like some sexless marriages are now having sex as well. But it's all connected. We don't focus on sex, but that really does improve as well. And the students keep telling us about all the epic orgasms that they keep having. And I'm like, teach that in the course. I'm like, you're welcome.
Money well spent.
Money very well spent, like seriously.
Rosa, can you share a moment in your life where Tantra helped you transform pain into power?
Yes, great. I can feel that question in my body. That's a great question. Okay. The moment that is coming up to me right now, which is a really beautiful moment, was So I was in this amazing 8-year relationship. Like, we were as good as married. We still have a lot of love for each other. And this ended about 2.5, maybe almost 3 years ago now. And I remember there was a point where we almost got back together. And for me, I didn't ask the right questions. So that's my own thing. I didn't ask the right questions. But then it transpired as we were having these conversations that he was also in love with somebody else. Yeah, yeah. And I had no idea. And that I thought he wanted to get back together. Turns out he just wanted to. And he's a really good guy. I have so much love for him still because I know his journey. I know his wounding. I know all this stuff. I know the reasons. But I let my heart be open to being back with him again and let myself really own that desire. And I really and this is part of it, this is part of the desires piece, I was like, great, this is my desire. Let me go for it. If this is in my greatest alignment, then we will be together. And I was like, look, I don't know where this might go, but I see us holding hands, walking into the sunset together. Like, are you willing to choose that and choose me, knowing that you'd have to ditch all your other girlfriends for that? I put my heart fully on the line, and it was one of the most vulnerable things I ever did. And he was like, no, I can't do that. It's like, I love you so much. I love you so much, but I know that I can't give you that. And you know what? That's him honoring his boundaries. And I'm so proud of him for that, because it's right, because he would want to try, He was this man that would move mountains for me if he could. Like, he would do anything to make me happy. But his journey as well has been learning what his boundaries are. So that's that first fundamental. Mine was really expressing my truest desires, fundamental number 2, and then, facing rejection, fundamental number 3. And, I had to own that. And I was like, great. Okay, this rejection, and this is something we really teach, this rejection is a redirection for something that is even bigger and more aligned for me. This is going to hurt like hell, but it's going to open me to a love that can truly meet me where I desire to be met. And in that portal, I went through some of the deepest grief of my life, because I think I'd always, up until that point, for over a year, kept open the door that we might get back together. And then that door was closed. It really allowed me to grieve. And again, through the tantric kind of thing, the thing that again, turning this almost pain into power is, I remember there was a moment, I think it was on my birthday, and I was alone. I was alone at my parents' house. Everything was in chaos. My life felt like it was kind of falling apart. I was in the deepest grief of my life. And I just let myself, I felt this wave of energy, and I just let myself collapse on the kitchen floor and cry and cry and cry my eyes out and howl. Goodness knows what the neighbors or the neighbor's dog thought, because I was just howling and crying. My parents were on holiday. And I just suddenly felt this energy moving from the base of my spine. And this is another big thing that we teach. We teach a lot about energy and moving energy through the body. It's a huge part of Tantra is moving energy from our root space to our crown. It's a lot about Kundalini activation and how, because this energy is our life force energy. And when we keep it stagnant and stuck, that's again where we experience a lot of suffering. But if we can liberate this energy and use it as fuel for our lives, that's where we just have limitless vitality and energy. It's why I wake up every day super filled with life. Is this, and it's because of the tools I've learned through Tantra. But by using some of those tools, I was able to transmute that grief, and it started waving through my body, and I let the Kundalini just move through my body, shaking. And it was one of the best orgasms I've ever had in my life. I had this grief orgasm, and it was it became ecstasy. And so it's almost this twofold of the space of intimacy, really owning myself, then being able, and that's really the fundamental of emotional connection, and being able to connect to our emotions and allow and be vulnerable and honest with them within ourselves, and then energy, transmuting that energy. Because now what I can tell you this has led to is I am in the most heart delicious, devotional partnership, which is everything I ever dreamed of. And yeah. And that's probably a year and a half after that moment. And he meets me and he is able to give me everything that this 8-year relationship wasn't able to give me, and more. And so I'm like, the work works.
Wow, beautiful. So when you work with women, um, what do you think? What kind of wounds women carry the most, and how can they kind of like awaken that kundalini, awaken that energy?
Great question. And so we at the school and in the training, we work with all genders. But what I'm really excited about is we have a lot of women in the training. There is a high majority of women in the training.
In any spiritual practice, it's like mostly women. Yeah.
And that's like a big part of like the tantric lineage is like really reverence of the goddess, and like really this like tantra being very like feminine in that space, and being and really like worshiping the divine feminine. And so I sometimes do find it very interesting when a lot of tantra spaces are run by men and you hear all the horror stories about how that goes down sometimes. So there's a lot that I'm trying to, and there are a few of us in London, women, all running tantra schools, and we're really trying to reclaim
The safety. It needs to be safe.
Correct. That's exactly what I feel really proud of. And so actually taking that word safety, I would say when we're working with women and in our in-person spaces and in the facilitator training, it's about creating that safety, because without the safety, we don't feel safe enough to let the erotic energy flow freely.
Yeah, the feminine cannot open. She's gonna be just hiding.
Closed.
Yeah.
Closed. And that's why when we do our training and when we teach is we go through all like the fundamental. When we start to talk about sexuality and energy, they're right at the top. That's 11 and 12 in the series, because we need to build safety firstly through boundaries. Like we need to know our yeses and our nos and be able to own them and honor our truth and our alignment within that, so that our sexuality and our sexual energy, our kundalini, our shakti can feel safe enough to start to flow. And so when we get, and so that is probably the first thing that I really want to touch on, is the safety piece, and why particularly I would say boundaries is like one of the most important things we can really have as women, in is really like knowing those, honoring those. So I would say to anyone who's wanting to explore this more is like really discovering like, actually, where do I cross my own boundaries, whether it's with myself and self-pleasure and trying to get myself to orgasm too fast rather than really nourishing and owning the pace of my body, and in sex, like saying yes when I actually mean no, or with friends, saying yes when I actually mean no. Because the more that we start to build that imprint of safety in our bodies, that actually I will honor when my body is a yes, I will honor when my body is a no, then the body feels safe enough to open that energy. And then the second piece that I really find with that is, I used to run this program, and I might still run it again. Like let's see, I might still run it again because it was really profound. I used to run a program called Sensational Self-Pleasure.
Ooh.
And it was juicy AF. And it took people through, to be fair, if anyone ever emails me and they're like, I want it, I'll like sell it to you evergreen. Because if you're keen, like I really want everybody to have this. But it's a 5-week program, and it takes people from basically like numbness into more ecstasy, and more to really experience pleasure in their bodies. Like when I've run it in the past, we've saved marriages. Like so many marriages, like sex lives have been saved. And so many women have told me they've gone from like anorgasmic, like thinking that they're like not able to orgasm, thinking they're asexual, to like being like, holy fuck, I didn't know it was this easy. And it's because the 5 things that I really see are, number one, firstly is release. So we hold so much tension that we need to learn how to firstly release and regulate our nervous systems into this space of safety without pressure on any kind of orgasmic experience or any kind of kundalini rising. And then once we're able to kind of release with these, I teach like yoni dhyamaring practices and things like that. I do that with my private one-on-one clients as well. We teach a lot of like yoni dhyamaring, and what that all that means is just releasing the tension in the pelvis, the tension in the vulva, the vagina, the pussy, whatever word you want to use. And then that allows us to start to expand the ability to experience sensation. Because so often, because of fear, we tense and we tighten. So that creates a lot of numbness. And if we've experienced trauma, then it's really important, even starting with like breast massage, belly massage, to then go into like the yoni/pussy massage, externally and internally. And then we move into connect. And that's genuinely just like the way when I would teach it. And my favorite thing, again, if women want to connect more with like starting to experience more erotic energy, is just like, let's just self-pleasure, but goalless, like goalless self-pleasure, just like waking up every single morning, saying hello to this beautiful part of the body that we've often so deeply shamed or judged. And then from there, once you've rebuilt that connection, that's when we get a little bit juicier with like tantric practices and breath work and energy work. Because actually what blows my mind is when we know these really simple tools and technique, it's really easy to go from like, oh, I don't feel anything, to being like, oh my God, like what is happening in my body? and these tools that I teach when it comes to Tantra, but also in self-pleasure and with my one-on-one clients, these tools that I teach, you know, they're not it's not like hour-long practices. It's like 15 minutes to go from I'm feeling nothing to like, wow, I didn't know I could feel like this in my body. And so I'm just really passionate about helping people move this energy and experience more of this energy, because I believe it's the source of our power, particularly as women as well. I believe our sexuality is a source of our power.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in his book, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill is talking about sexual transmutation. He went and interviewed the most powerful men in the world, and they all used actually sexual energy to make a lot of money. Yeah, I spoke to Jaya. Jaya, she's
Love Chaya.
you know her?
Yeah.
She's a sexologist, and she was on the show too. And one time she told us how she kind of like manifested, I think tripled her income through one of the practices, through an orgasmic practice, an energetic orgasmic practice. It's very interesting. Um, Maybe you can share with us now one practice that can create such liberation in one's body.
Oh my God. Well, I'm really grateful that we're talking about manifestation, because this is my other geek out, you know, and sexual transmutation, and like this energy transmutation is so core in Tantra. So I really say within the London School of Tantra, we teach kind of two sides. One is really on the intimacy and the tackling isolation and loneliness and the disconnection. The other is how to really become masters of our own energy. So the core thing that I'm really known for, and this is like the wildest thing that I get booked for, like internationally, literally, it still blows my mind, because I tried to keep it a secret. I don't know why I tried to keep it a secret, but word got out that I taught sex magic, and everybody was like, oh my God, what's sex magic? And so sex magic is the ability to harness your sexual energy, this creative life force energy, to use it as rocket fuel for your manifestations and your desires.
I'm at the edge of my seat now.
I run this in person, and it's a core part of the facilitator training, because it has been a practice that has changed my life. I have manifested the wildest things in my life, including the partner I have now, including like once I was on the BBC, I'm also a musician. Once I was on the BBC, they played our song, they interviewed us, they like got us to the studio. That was after Sex Magic. I had two people come to my most recent Sex Magic workshop, and they were telling me these stories. Actually, three. One manifested, again, the love of her life. One manifested, he was manifesting abundance, and then got invited to go to Saudi Arabia and be the private acupuncturist for all of these princes, and like literally in 2 weeks made 20K. And and he also manifested, another guy manifested his like girlfriend. Other people have manifested their dream homes. And it's just, so when it comes to liberation, and one of the things, there are three core things that like we really like to focus on at the school. And like one is helping people experience like this full liberation and freedom. Another is like unshakable nervous system resilience. So really like being able to handle anything that comes their way. And then the third thing that we really teach, these are our like three core pillars, like that we kind of revolve around, like that help, that support us to make sure that we're in alignment with our teachings and like what we like, the transformation we want to bring to the world. And the third is really helping people. So the third is really helping people be the creator of their reality. And so when it comes to one of the most powerful practices that I would want to share with anyone, it would be sex magic. Really would be sex magic. And if anybody at home wants to practice, I can send you actually afterwards. I've got like a mini half-hour Instagram live that I love to share with anybody, that is like a mini sex magic practice, so you can just start to understand this work. But for anyone who wants to just kind of play in it, the core principle is like just moving energy through each of your chakras. So firstly, there are three things that I believe make sex magic really effective. The first is clearing. So you got to regulate the nervous system. You got to clear any stuckness, stagnant energy. That could be through shaking, rage releases, like you could even go to the gym, it could be anything that's going to help you really come back into a regulated state, because it's difficult to manifest if you're stressed, because your like system is closed. Then you get to create the dream. And so really visualizing in the five senses reality. What do you see, hear, touch, taste, smell, that lets you know you have this right now? So like, for example, say I'm manifesting my dream home or manifesting my dream lover. Like, how does it feel? Like what do I see when I'm in that house? What do I see and feel and experience when I'm with that lover? Like really letting your body feel it, and enjoy it. And then the third piece is to channel it. Is so then you're like channeling the energy, and you're moving the energy through each of your chakras, bringing the whole body online. Because in Tantra, the Shakti is the Kundalini, this sacred life force energy that you're then moving all the way up, all the way up, all the way up, all the way up. And then when you get to the crown, you get to connect with like Shiva, which is divine consciousness. And so it's like this creative consciousness of the universe. It's like you could call it the quantum field as well, to use like another word. And so you're then bringing that consciousness in. So Shakti, this delicious, the life force energy, this energy that literally creates human lives, like through sperm, through eggs. You're bringing that energy up. You're all the way at the crown. That energy comes back down in. God, I can feel it even as I talk about it. But then you let it dance like in the heart space. So then you have Shiva and Shakti like making love with your dream in your heart space. And then it's like, all I have to do now is that's it. It's already on the way. And there's loads of science behind this. So anybody who watches that live, you'll get to hear me talk about the science and a bit of the mysticism.
Wow, I didn't even know you do that. Look at that. That was divinely guided. That's amazing. Wow. Wow, wow.
So when you're in London, that will be the workshop. Like plan your trip when we're running Sex Magic.
Amazing. Um, So before we say goodbye for now and I can speak with you, I would like to have you back on the show if you're open to that, because there's so much I feel like we didn't even touch. Like I have like another like at least 1001 questions for just for this interview. Um what are your three top tips to living a stellar life, and where can people find you?
Oh, great question. And I love your podcast name so much. And so actually tell you what, my three top tips to living a stellar life would be to having an unshakable nervous system, like building that resilience so you can really handle anything that the universe throws your way. The second would really be like owning your uniqueness, like who you are on this planet, like who you are as you walk around, and like really feeling your worthiness within that, like who you really get to be. And that comes from stripping away all of the narratives, conditioning, blah, 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 to really own that. Like, no, I'm fucking worthy as I am. That would be my second tip. And my third would really be just knowing that you are the creator of your reality, that all of your desires are divinely inspired, and that it's really part of your life's path, your path of living this stellar life to go after that, to like really start to create the reality and the life that you really dream of. Because I can promise you, someone who's gone from corporate to literally living the life of their dreams and waking up so filled by every single day. And it's through Tantra, it's through sex magic, it's through all of these tools, these three keys. And the nervous system piece, that is the key. And I think that's what makes us really different in the way that we teach, is like we are very focused on deliciously regulated nervous systems. Because that's so important for safety. So, because yeah, that's a whole other topic we could dive into. But yeah, I'm a really big believer in that. So they would be my three tips. And where you can find me is you can come find me on Instagram. I'm at Rosa Maxwell. I share weekly lives. Like I'm like literally my stories are always a vibe. I'm always giving little updates about what we're doing at the school. It's a really fun community. I have a lot of fun on there. And also the London School of Tantra website, which is londonschooloftantra.co.uk. Come join the waitlist for the facilitator training starting January 2026. And in the meantime, I'm doing a free monthly masterclass online every single month. So if you want to come feel the vibe, get a taste of all the magic and the teachings that we're doing, come join that every single month. It's like, I'm having so much fun with this whole, just with life. And I'm just so like, it's like I'm continually creatively birthing magic. So please do come play and be part of the magic. I'd love to meet any of your followers or anyone who feels really connected to this work.
Yeah. When is your book coming up?
Oh my God. Well, you're the second person to mention a book. We don't have plans yet, but it's like I'm working on it in the background. So, okay, universe, clearly this is a second sign.
It's like I had to ask it because I was guided to ask it.
Great. Well, universe, if there is an amazing publisher, an amazing book deal that you want to send my way, the book will be coming out in the next 2 years. Watch this space. That's wild. Second person in less than 2 weeks. Great.
It's a sign. That's a sign. I just feel like you have so much wisdom, and also just your character and the way you share your stuff. It's not just you know, here in the Tantra school, we are connecting together and connecting our souls and our hearts. You know, it's like you're so genuine and fun, and I think we need more of that in this chaotic world. And because sometimes people take their mastery in a very serious way, and everything's very like, this is how things are done. But the way you bring it and the way you share it with the world is exactly what everybody needs. So I think more of that will be great.
I received that. I received that. And if anyone is ever in in-person workshop or even probably online, because we dance a lot, even in the facilitator training, you will be dancing to Lizzo at some point. Like Ready to Be Loved is a classic that we play all the time. So, no, we like to, like the universe likes to play. We like to have fun. And I think that's really where the transformation happens,
Yes.
is when we are enjoying and playing and having fun. So thank you. I really received that. I feel really seen. It's been such a delight. Thank you, Orion, so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Rosa, and thank you so much, listeners. Remember to build resilience and have a resilient nervous system. Own your uniqueness and feel your worthiness. And remember that you are the creator of your life. And have a stellar life. Enjoy your day. Share this with others if you like. And I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did, because I did. It was awesome.